Safe. In the world of the SCP Foundation, safe class SCPs are anomalies that are easy to contain, but that doesn't mean they're harmless. The classification isn't about how dangerous an entity is, it's about how predictable its behavior is and how simple it is to keep it locked up in a chamber. For example, imagine a rag doll that can explode the entire world if someone were to touch it. Despite this catastrophic power, if we place it in a chamber and it just stays there, never trying to escape, it would be classified as safe. The fact that it can be restrained in a chamber without incident is what earns it this designation. The key isn't its lack of a threat, but the stability and effectiveness of its containment. Most safe class entities are objects or areas, and they get this designation because the Foundation has thoroughly researched them. They understand the anomaly's properties and behaviors well enough to implement highly effective containment protocols. This knowledge is what keeps it locked down without constant, intensive monitoring, preventing it from ever screwing off. It's about knowing your monster well enough to keep it locked down, keeping humanity safe from the unknown. Euclid. In the world of the SCP Foundation, these are Euclid Class SCPs, the most common and often the most volatile of all classifications. A containment breach from a Euclid SCP is a major incident that can have catastrophic consequences. Euclid Class SCPs are typically living anomalies that require a constant, substantial allocation of resources for their containment. Even then, their containment is rarely fully reliable. Unlike safe SCPs, Euclid entities frequently attempt to escape or breach their designated chambers because they are not fully understood, making their actions and motives inherently unpredictable. This classification is the most common, featuring terrifying examples like SCP-173, a statue that moves when you're not looking, and SCP-096, the shy guy, who will relentlessly hunt anyone who sees its face. They are often Euclid because they possess sentience, which makes them difficult to manage, like a wild dog. But even inanimate objects, like a flesh living room or a potato, can be classified as Euclid due to their unexplained and unpredictable properties. It's the ultimate lesson. The unknown is always a threat. Keter. Keter Class SCPs have containment procedures that are often so extensive and complex, they are almost more difficult to manage than the anomalies themselves. This is because the Foundation either doesn't fully understand the entity's abilities or lacks the technology to contain it completely. A Keter SCP might be an entity that can teleport at will, an adaptable creature that refuses to die, or a dangerous slime that can no-clip through walls. The Keter Class is where the SCP Foundation's greatest challenges reside. While most Keter SCPs pose a profound, world-ending threat, some are categorized as such simply because they are extremely difficult to contain, even if they are peaceful. Their inherent instability and unpredictability make them a constant source of anxiety, forcing the Foundation to implement elaborate protocols just to keep them from causing chaos. Keter represents the ultimate lesson in the SCP Foundation. Some horrors are simply too vast and too powerful to ever be truly controlled. Thaumiel. This is the Thaumiel Class. A Thaumiel SCP cannot be contained because it serves to contain other, more dangerous anomalies. So instead of being in a chamber, the SCP itself is the chamber. These are often highly classified facilities, like SCP-2000, a subterranean facility that serves a world-saving purpose, known only to a few top-level personnel. The Thaumiel Class stands in stark contrast to Safe, Euclid, and Keter. The focus isn't on how hard it is to lock away a threat, but on what that threat can do for us. It's a testament to the Foundation's willingness to use dangerous means for the greater good, a chilling acknowledgement that to fight the most dangerous horrors, you must use a horror of your own. Explained. This is the fate of Explained Class SCPs. An SCP is reclassified as Explained when it is now completely and thoroughly understood. This means their spooky, scary effects and behaviors can be explained by public, mainstream science. Therefore, there's no longer a reason to hide them from the public. Due to this, they are no longer considered anomalies because their supernatural or anomalous properties have a logical, scientific explanation. Whatever class they had before, be it safe, Euclid, or even Keter, is completely removed. The anomaly is essentially kicked out of the Foundation's containment and released for public study, or, in some cases, neutralization by the government. It's the ultimate outcome for an SCP, from a terrifying unknown to a completely solved scientific curiosity. It marks a unique kind of triumph for the Foundation. These are Apollyon Class SCPs, entities that cannot be contained, and whose very existence signals an imminent, world-ending threat. An SCP is labeled Apollyon when it is not only a profound danger, but is also fundamentally uncontainable. You can try to put it in a chamber, but it will inevitably break out, or some similar catastrophe will follow. This is because Apollyon beings are often far too powerful and massive for any chamber to bear without being destroyed. Apollyon SCPs are almost exclusively tied to world-ending threats. A prime example is the visceral SCP-001 proposal, known as When Day Breaks, which describes a phenomenon that boils every creature outside into goo. These SCPs are obviously extremely dangerous and hostile to humanity. These are Archon Class SCPs, entities that are actively left uncontained for a critical reason. An SCP is labeled Archon when it is theoretically containable, but the Foundation makes the deliberate choice not to contain it. This isn't because the entity is uncontainable like an Apollyon, but because it may be a crucial part of a consensus reality, or because containing it would trigger catastrophic events. For example, an SCP might be a reality-warping entity that, if put into containment, would cause wars or natural disasters to erupt around the globe. Therefore, the safest course of action is to simply leave it alone. The Archon Class is a rare and unique classification that shows the Foundation's willingness to make difficult choices for the greater good. It is a testament to the fact that sometimes the most effective containment protocol is to not attempt containment at all. Ticonderoga. This is the Ticonderoga Class, a unique and rare classification that is a combination of both Apollyon and Archon. An SCP is designated Ticonderoga when it is both A, utterly impossible to contain, and B, there is no need to contain it. The Foundation might be aware of the anomaly's existence, but it is either too powerful, too elusive, or too remote to ever be brought into containment. Simultaneously, the SCP is not hostile to humanity, or its actions are not a threat to the general population, making active pursuit pointless. The Ticonderoga Class was created for very specific, peculiar cases. A prime example would be an interdimensional, time-traveling entity that the Foundation is aware of but cannot reach. However, since this entity is not doing anything that threatens humanity,